called her out. I was like, Ellen's not that nice.
This was after you went on the show?
After I went on the show.
What was it like meeting Ellen? And is she a good person?
Let's just all go back to 2017 where I was the first person to call Ellen out before anyone else.
You called her out?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I called her out. I was like, Ellen's not that.
I just love giving Ellen because it just never gets old. She just can't stand it. She has no sense of humor about herself.
You are below them. They would communicate with you in the most disrespectful and dismissive ways, like weird, like mousy guys that I could like instantly, and they would just be rude to you in a really weird way because they,
Ellen
was like really weird and not nice to me for most of my career, and like because I opened for her in the 1980s.
Oh, you did?
When she was
to me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her.
Right now, some of the biggest names in Hollywood are starting to speak out, and they're all pointing in the same direction. From awkward interviews to behind-the-scenes stories, a very different image is beginning to emerge. For years, she was known as the nicest person on television, the face of kindness, the host everyone trusted. But now, that image is being questioned because what once looked like harmless jokes is now being seen very differently. Celebrities are revisiting old moments. Former insiders are speaking up. And the more people look back, the harder it becomes to ignore the pattern. This isn't just one moment or one interview. This is a pattern, and it's all starting to come together.
I called her out. I was like, Ellen's not that nice.
This was after you went on the show?
After I went on the show.
What was it like meeting Ellen? And is she a good person?
Let's just all go back to 2017 where I was the first person to call Ellen out before anyone else.
You called her out?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I called her out. I was like, Ellen's not that nice.
This was after you went on the show?
After I went on the show, and the world blew up about it and was like so mad at me about it, and then someone else said it, and then it was like, oh my god, Ellen's not nice. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Why do you say she's not nice?
I can't explain it. It was just
an
really
energy?
weird. I ran into her like backstage. It was like an awkward thing, and like the producers were really scared. I was like, what's going on? They were like, that was not supposed to happen. We're gonna get in trouble. It's like so weird. She was like, hey. It was like, I was like, oh hi. Like I was like, I'm so excited. And she was like,
This is where the narrative first started to shift. At the time, it didn't seem like a big deal. Just one person sharing an uncomfortable experience. But the reaction was unexpected. Instead of questioning what was said, people pushed back against the person saying it. And yet, behind the scenes, there were already signs that something wasn't right. Awkward encounters, nervous staff, a backstage environment that didn't match the energy on camera. And slowly, that carefully built image started to crack.
Ellen DeGeneres is speaking out about reports of workplace mistreatment in a letter to her staff. The talk show host shared her initial reaction to the allegations from current and former employees and revealed what actions are being taken to improve company culture. Ellen said she was disappointed to learn about the claims in a recent BuzzFeed article, citing the show's enormous growth over the years and her increased reliance on people to do their jobs as they knew I'd want them done. She went on to acknowledge that clearly some didn't.
I don't think you achieve anything by bullying people.
In a statement to ET, Warner Brothers, the studio behind Ellen's show, claims they have interviewed dozens of current and former employees in the wake of these allegations. They say that during their investigation, it was revealed that there were some deficiencies related to the show's day-to-day management. And that moving forward, the studio and Ellen are committed to creating a workplace based on respect and inclusion.
I stay grateful and I try to stay humble, and I think that I pay attention to what is important and what is real.
These misconduct allegations stem from a BuzzFeed article that was published last week, which included anonymous accounts from a dozen former and one current employee.
As more voices began to surface, things escalated quickly. What started as isolated claims turned into formal allegations, tunnel investigations, public statements, promises of change. But by then, the damage had already been done. Reports described a workplace that felt very different from what viewers saw on screen. And while official responses focused on moving forward, because once people begin to question gets re-examined. Everything gets re-examined.
Thought of you when Ellen DeGeneres went through her thing, and she goes, my advice to everybody is, if you're going to be known as something, being known as the be kind lady is probably going to bite you in the ass. And I wondered what that whole queen of nice.
Yeah,
I
that
remember
did bite
thinking,
me in the ass. Yeah.
Did you think it bit you in the ass? I wasn't aware of that, but
not in the way that Ellen's talking about, I think. But you know, I said the day it came out, look at this, the queen of nice. In a couple of years, it's going to be the queen of lice, the queen of fried rice. You know, the queen of we don't like her anymore. You know, I have an understanding of the cycle of show business and kind of what happens in people's careers and when enough is enough. And oftentimes people don't know that. You know, I think I have a good balance of both in my life, of the importance of, you know, of both. And it's hard to maintain. It's hard to do, especially when you're doing a show like that. But, you know, I don't think it was the be kind thing that got her. I think that's simplification, but it was a lot of things and it was complicated. And I'm glad that she's, you know, going to be finished and she can get some time, you know, to herself to just, I mean, it's a huge kind of strange thing to be on a show like that and have all that attention on you. And she had it for like 19 years. So, you know.
At this point, the conversation shifted from accusations to understanding, because in Hollywood, image is everything. And when someone becomes known for being kind, that identity becomes part of their brand. But that also creates pressure, expectations rise. Scrutiny increases, and when reality doesn't match the image, the fall becomes inevitable, not because of one moment, but because of a pattern that builds over time.
Swift has her biggest enemy on the television, and it's The Ellen Show. Here's every time when Ellen made Taylor Swift really uncomfortable.
Does your boyfriend like the way it smells?
I don't have one. I keep telling you that.
Just trying.
Like, I just don't. Right. Like, it's not, like, if I didn't and I was like, I don't have a boyfriend, like, you know I had a boyfriend. I don't have someone that I'm texting that's a guy that might someday be my boyfriend. There's, like, nothing going on right now. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while because we didn't date.
Yes, you did. Why do you deny it?
Because we didn't.
Okay, so which song is about Zach on the new CD?
There's nothing really about Zach on the CD because we didn't date.
All right.
So, yeah.
Okay. When you have spare time, you drive past your ex-boyfriend's houses.
I'm not like throwing eggs. It's
right.
I'm just checking up on them.
Checking up on what the front of their house looks like?
Well,
or, I mean,
it's
what
really
are you
like
see?
an act of public service, you know? Just seeing if they're okay.
Are you, so you have unresolved business? You still have crushes on your ex?
No.
So what are you doing?
I don't know.
So I can't, like, you know, when I was like 23 and people were just like kind of reducing me to like kind of making slideshows of like my dating life and putting people in there that I'd sat next to at a party once and deciding that my songwriting was like a trick rather than a skill and a craft. Kind of, it's a way to take a woman who's doing her job and succeeding at doing her job and making things, and it's in a way it's figuring out how to completely minimize that skill by taking something that everyone, you know, in their darkest moments loves to do, which is to slut shame. And so now when I see this happening, I can see a headline about a young artist, about a young female artist, about like another breakup, and it sends me into
It takes you back there to a degree?
It sends me into a real sad place because I don't want that to keep happening. And I don't think people understand how easy it is to infer that someone who's a female artist or a female in our industry is somehow doing something wrong by wanting love, wanting money, wanting success. Women are not allowed to want those things.
One of the most widely discussed examples involves a young artist on the show. At the time, it was played off as humor. But looking back, the dynamic feels different, repeated questions. Personal topics pushed too far, clear discomfort on camera. And years later, that same moment was revisited, not just as an awkward interview, but as part of a bigger issue where boundaries are blurred, and personal moments become public entertainment. And for many viewers now, those clips don't feel the same anymore.
I just love giving Ellen because it just never gets old. She just can't stand it. She has no sense of humor about herself. We had a fight one time that was a knockdown drag out, screaming on the phones, both of us screaming. And I think that's so fucking funny. Like, picture Kathy Griffin and Ellen DeGeneres, split screen.
What are you
both
yelling
with
about?
our cell phones and assistants, screaming at each other.
Over what?
She thought Joan Rivers was not funny, but Joan was just mean. And I think Joan was not only not mean, but she was a genius, but also that Ellen kind of owed part of her career to the fact that Joan was the first woman to have a talk show, broke the glass ceiling for women in talk, whether you like her or not.
Without a shadow of a doubt, every female comedian to ever step up to a mic or tell a joke.
And by the way, Joan would thank Phyllis Diller. Phyllis Diller would thank Moms Mabley. Moms Mabley and Tony Fields. Like, we're pretty good about knowing.
Gave me chills in a weird way.
Yeah. And so anyway, I just make fun of Ellen because she doesn't take it well. And I just get a kick out of it. And she'll never see it. She's not the type of person that would watch my special.
Yeah, I'm talking about Ellen DeGeneres. Now I have to just come clean.
She was not nice to you?
Well, here's the thing. In my very last dinner with Joan Rivers, we would always check in with each other, and I'd be like, "Where are you with Ellen?" And she'd be like, "Oh, still hates me." And she'd go, "Well, what about you?" And I'd say, "Oh, she thinks I'm mean." And the truth is, I guess I feel like I'm sticking up for a pal. Like, I think Ellen's achievements are fantastic. How could I not? But like I said, there's so few female comics over 50 that are making a living or doing okay. Like, we need to support each other. And I just thought, what am I waiting for? But almost every time Joan Rivers and I would get together, we'd be like, anything from Ellen? No. You? No. And it wasn't like, it was more like, I wish we were better at supporting each other. But also, of course, I don't like being labeled as mean. Mean and funny, fine. But I can just tell you for a fact, Joan Rivers didn't have a mean bone in her body. And I wish Ellen would have really celebrated her more, because Ellen has such an amazing, incredible platform. And she's such a true influencer. And, Joan broke the glass ceiling for women talk show hosts.
Within the comedy world, the criticism was more direct. Some comedians openly admitted they targeted her, not just for jokes, but because of how she responded. They described someone who could make fun of others, but struggled when the roles were reversed. And beyond the humor, there were deeper tensions, conflicts that suggested this wasn't just about comedy, but about control, perception, and reputation. Because in an industry built on laughter, not being able to take a joke stands out.
Losing their mind.
She sounded so sincere, didn't she?
Very sincere.
Virtually choke on her words. But the best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is thrown at her as well. But what a bunch of hypocrites.
Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, have reportedly fled the US, bound for the UK, after Donald Trump's landslide victory. Numerous publications are reporting the couple have left the United States permanently. There are also reports the couple have put their Montecito mansion on the market. Entertainment publication The Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation. Ellen DeGeneres has been a vocal Trump critic, so the move doesn't come as a surprise to most.
Ellen DeGeneres has been seen rocking a new hair color since moving to the UK. The comedian changed her signature blonde look to brunette as she was seen enjoying a night out with friends at a pub called The Farmer's Dog. Ellen went out with her wife, Portia de Rossi, and a few friends, including the Torn singer Natalie Imbruglia. Sources told TMZ earlier this week that Ellen and Portia moved to England because of Donald Trump's re-election. They have reportedly settled into their new home in the southwest region of England, but they purchased the property before.
As the situation intensified, attention moved beyond the show itself. Public decisions, personal moves, even relocation became part of the discussion. Reports of leaving the country added another layer to the story. And with that came speculation, Kaching's timing, and unanswered questions. While not everything is confirmed, the narrative continues to grow. And right now, perception is shaping reality.
Will be their downfall. Or is it just art? And let me be the first to tell you, it's all connected. I mean, if you know, you know. But first, let's go back to that video of Ellen DeGeneres. When the camera turns, you can see the inside of her house. Now, see that picture right there? Well, if you pause it and look it up, it says evil thoughts with revenge right next to it. Here's another picture of Ellen in her house, and this is the picture behind her. Now, the thing I'm curious about is the letters on top of the picture. These look oddly similar to the letters Marina Abramovich writes out when she does spirit cooking. Remember the beginning of the video? It's all connected. And that person that was in all red is Lady Gaga, and she went to Marina Abramovich many times for teaching. But let's continue. This is another picture of Ellen in her home. She's cutting her mother's hair, but what is that picture above her?
Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? It's a similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Just look at the temple and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background.
Online, the story took an unexpected turn. People began analyzing past content, searching for patterns, meanings, connections. Some believe it's overthinking. Others believe it reveals something deeper. But regardless of what's true, it shows how far the narrative has shifted. Because once people start questioning everything, nothing is seen the same way again.
Morning of Tuesday, December 12, Twitch packed a small bag with only a change of clothes and his handgun, slipped out of his house without telling Allison, turned his phone to airplane mode so he couldn't be tracked, and took an Uber to the Oak Tree Inn, a dreary two-story motel in a hacienda-style building on heavily trafficked Ventura Boulevard, just a mile from his house, and paid $107 to reserve a room for a single night. Twitch made his way down to room 249 and let himself in. Allison reported to police that Twitch was missing shortly after he had left the house, noting with particular worry that she couldn't reach him by phone and he had not taken his car with him when he left, two things that she said were very much out of character for him.
Because there were no details about Twitch's death, people just rushed to fill that void. This was at the time when Ellen had built this edifice as the nicest person on television. She would have YouTube stars, and all of a sudden that...
Then came a moment that changed the tone completely. A tragic event that shocked audiences. At a time when scrutiny was already high, this added emotional weight to the situation. With limited information available, speculation quickly filled the gap, and suddenly, the conversation became much more serious.
Ellen DeGeneres rewriting history? That's what some of her former staffers claim she's doing in her new Netflix stand-up special, For Your Approval.
I got kicked out of show business. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, because I'm mean. Yeah. Yeah, you can't be mean and be in show business. No, they'll kick you out.
She uses jokes to address the controversy.
I was in therapy for a while trying to deal with all the hatred that was coming at me, and at one point my therapist said, "Ellen, where do you get this idea that everyone hates you?" And I said, well, New York Times, Washington Post, Entertainment Weekly, Us Weekly. I think Elmo may have said something recently on an episode of Sesame Street.
But this producer who worked with her takes issue with how she's addressing allegations that there was a toxic work environment at her legendary talk show.
The essence of the special really was totally a lie.
Hedda Muscat says Ellen's special hits all the wrong notes.
I felt Ellen was not taking responsibility at all. She was sugarcoating it.
In response, there was an attempt to address everything publicly, but instead of a direct explanation, it came through humor, a comedy special that acknowledged the controversy, but in a way that divided opinion. Some saw it as honesty, others saw it as avoidance. And for those who were directly affected, it didn't feel like accountability.
Arrogance that some stars had, like particularly in the 90s. When I first came to Hollywood, and this is like really evident for me because I was not a star, but I was on a television show. So I got to be around a lot of stars. And there was a way that some of them would treat you. They would let you know that you are subhuman. You are below them. They would communicate with you in the most disrespectful and dismissive ways. Like weird. Like mousy guys that I could like instantly. And they would just be rude to you in a really weird way because they had power. They had power, and then when an executive would come over, they would turn on the charm. They'd be smiling and laughing, and then you would talk to them at the craft service, and they would dismiss you in the shittiest ways. I encountered a bunch of that.
Yeah.
It was commonplace, and it was, I think, a thing that they aspired.
It's so weird when you see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be a bitch. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage. of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they
Dogs
have like
around them.
Yeah, she's got dogs and hoods. If an intern's late, they have a hood on. I don't support that. That's just me.
Yeah.
At this stage, the focus shifted to something bigger. Multiple voices describing similar experiences, a pattern connected to power, status, and perception. The idea that public personality doesn't always reflect private behavior. And when enough people start saying the same thing, it becomes harder to dismiss. Even older interviews are now being re-examined. Moments that once seemed casual are now being viewed differently. Context changes everything. And what didn't raise questions before is now part of a much larger conversation.
Ellen was like really weird and not nice to me for most of my career, and like because I opened for her in the 1980s.
Oh, you did?
When she was a headliner in comedy clubs, and not way before her big fame. And so then when I would do her talk show in the 2000s, she acted like we just met, and I'm like, bitch, what?
One of those types.
I'm like, bitch, what? Like, that's weird. Like,
Right.
It's like, we go way back. What? Bitch, like, it's so creepy and weird. But, you know, also, the other thing was David Bowie had been on the show, and he was so excited that the night before that I had come to his show wearing this giant Chinese emperor outfit. He was really thrilled about it, and he talked at length about it. And she cut it out of the show, which made me so mad. And the producer, who's a really good friend of mine, had to call me and tell me, I can't believe she did this, but she cut it out of the show. But you need to know that he was going on and on about your outfit. He loves you. God said your name.
So
which is so rude.
That is so gross.
I don't know if it was personal. Maybe it was for time.
Right.
But still, I'm going to take it
still.
personally just because
Honey,
I decided to.
You should have sent her a note and said, send me the footage. I'll post it to my YouTube.
I know it exists somewhere.
And finally, more voices from the past continue to surface. People who had known her long before the fame, sharing experiences that suggest this behavior wasn't new, just less visible, stories of being ignored, dismissed, treated like strangers despite history. And when those stories align with everything else, the pattern becomes clearer.